Okay, folks, we got a lot of news that we're going to be getting into today. I took my largest loss in my entire investing career on a position I've been holding for longer than 3 years, which ironically has a lot to do with what's going on today, considering we're getting the Biden inauguration going on. On top of that, China finally found Jack Ma with a little sweat across his forehead that we're going to be discussing, where I have some major money YOLO'd, most of it being the bank's money from my line of credit. So yeah, in the clarity of my transparency, in return, I simply ask that you hit that like button, folks. But let's get right into this. Getting right into this, guys, we might as well start with the largest loss I've ever made in my entire investing career. This was one that has been tearing me up at night while I try and go to bed, and usually when that becomes the condition, I end up just liquidating. But a lot of you in our chat group tried to rebuttal me and talk me out of doing so, but I couldn't bear it any longer here, folks. I sold Geo Group. This is a prison REIT, a highly undervalued REIT in my humble opinion, but I am seeing red flag after red flag, and I just can't go to sleep comfortably at night holding it. So I sold it for over a 50% loss, about 4,000 US, over 5,000 CAD, which definitely punched me in the heart. Like I said, I think I've been in this thing since like 2018. I started buying it at like $23 a share with an average cost of 19. Oh my God, did I cost average down into this stupid thing. I finally just had to bite my tongue because a lot of people were throwing at me, oh, look, you know, there was insider buying going on. Look at the CEO picking up shares. This was all before, Biden won the election and before they started decriminalizing drugs. The private prison sector right now, guys, it is by far one of the most hated sectors ever that has nothing to do with the underlying assets, but it's just getting so suppressed to the point where this company is going to be having hard times in the future. And I don't think it's a bad thing because essentially there's going to be less people going to prison. But at the same time, I mean, I feel like, the message is written on the wall right now. They just did their second dividend cut. I mean, it's crazy to me that they have the cash flow to afford it, but the revenues are slowly dropping off. And something tells me because drugs are one of the largest reasons for incarceration, being about 20%, over 20% of the entire prison population. So, I mean, you're going to be seeing a lot of people getting out of prison right now. You're going to be seeing a lot of money flowing into probably treatment centers and things of that nature, which is a great thing. There's nothing wrong with it. But when I look at comparing this to something like a RioCan. But the reason I can hold RioCan is I can foresee where their future is going. I can see the initiative, the fact they have great cash flow, they got great money. They also did not need to cut their dividend, but I get the future of it. When I look at Geo Group and I'm like, look, where's the next 3 to 5 years going? I can't place my finger on it other than down unless they continue to start globally diversifying away from the US, which is going to be very hard because it makes up like 80-90% of their total portfolio. So I want to kind of paraphrase and quote Peter Lynch by just finishing on this one saying that you only really want to be buying stocks with fundamentals and revenues that are going up, not down. And I just cannot predict that this company is going to have a turnaround in revenues over the Biden administration. So before we get into the Biden news, let's talk about Alibaba, because guess where I put all that money? Obviously in Alibaba stock here, folks. So taking a look, let's start with the initial position that I just picked up because I sold Geo Group literally yesterday, which I'm glad I did because Geo Group is down today. And luckily, ironically, the moment that I buy Alibaba with that money, it jumps up 7% in less than a day because I'm so happy I did this decision literally just before they find Jack Ma. Not that it matters. It's not like he's the CEO here, but nonetheless, guys, very happy about this decision. It was very hard, but I feel like, just in a day's moment, I'm like, this is why I got rid of it. So super happy, but this isn't the most convicted position I have because obviously I've been YOLOing money from the bank. I've been using my $10,000 line of credit to also buy a rather large chunk of shares here, folks. 32 shares are completely leveraged from the bank, and I'm currently sitting up right around 14 or 15%, $1,300 gain. When do I take profits, baby? That's the real question. Well, the crazy thing is I haven't been in this position for much longer than a week. This whole month of January has already felt like a year at the rate things are going right now. It's already been a wild turn of events, and yes, things are extremely rocky with China, guys, but not to the point that I think Alibaba should be suffering as much as it has. That's why I saw it as a great opportunity here. I put a ton of my mom's money in it. I told you guys that considering I put my mom's money in it, why shouldn't I put some of the bank's money in it? And it's working out very well, but I still believe that this is way too underrated, and I'd rather hold, even in these volatile times, into earnings. I was basically buying this saying, look, like, you just got to get to earnings and things are going to be fine, because we're talking about Q4 earnings over the Christmas season, the fact that the pandemic's still going on. I mean, the cloud computing, all this stuff going on, even with the batterness of Ant Group, it just doesn't justify the valuation. If it runs up any more excessively, I'll probably liquidate it before earnings. I'd like to hold on until after, though, because I'm trying to cap in about a 20 or 30% gain, at which I'll just sell off, give the money back to the bank, and I'll probably keep some Alibaba shares in here just to go long the rest of the year, because essentially it's free shares, right? And then I'll keep the shares I have in my TFSA along with the shares that I bought, my cheapest shares from when I sold Tesla. But my God, round of applause here, guys. We caught ourselves a really good dip buy in 2 months, you know, almost up 20% here. So after months of laying low, let's talk about Jack Ma real quick here, guys. I want to share with you the video of him finally emerging. So take a quick listen.
每年的腊八节是我们约定的日子。过去5年，每年的这一天，我们都在三亚举办颁奖仪式，感谢老师，致敬老师。今年因为疫情的原因啊，我们不能在三亚见面，但是我们的约定不会变，对老师的致敬更不会缺席。今天我们大家虽然在天南海北，但是我们用视频连线的方式聚在了一起，这是我们对100名获奖老师的敬意，也是对100名老师背后290万名乡村教师的敬意。等疫情过去了，我们一定会再找时间把大家的三亚之旅补上，到那时候我们再见面。
This is still shrouded in a ton of mystery, and it's crazy looking at him reading off a teleprompter because this isn't him speaking from his heart. But basically what they were doing here was annual meeting where they bring in like hundreds of teachers and, you know, they give awards away. And Jack Ma was still doing it in a weird manner of not really like coming from his heart. It looked very robotic. I mean, it looks like he's somewhere pretty warm, some sweat rolling across his forehead here. I could turn a bunch of conspiracies on this one saying, you know, that the Chinese Communist Party is making him do this to start driving the stock up. I kind of predicted at some point we would finally see him reemerge, and something tells me this won't be the last time we see him. There's a lot more going on when the doors are closed than obviously is presented in this very short clip, but hey, I'll take it as a blessing. I'm gonna pass this off to you. What do you guys think about this craziness in that comment section below? You think Jack Ma is still being held up by the Communist Party? You think he's actually more freebound than we're getting to hear? And then finally, guys, I'm gonna be sitting down watching the inauguration today, because this is where Biden is going to be pumping certain sectors of the market, whether he talks about EV and renewable plays, you know, whether he talks about the prison system, which won't be any good. Not that it matters, because states are decriminalizing drugs. The prison system is just going to go through a rough time over the next 3 to 5 years while Biden's elected. I just can't foresee them doing well, so I'm glad that I shifted some money around. But nonetheless, guys, I'd be paying attention to this, because this is going to be a market mover for sure. And in light of all of this, as always, stay cool, stay awesome, and I look forward to catching you guys tomorrow.
We're entering what may be the toughest and deadliest period of the virus. We must set aside politics and finally face this pandemic as one nation. One nation. And I promise you this, as the Bible says, weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. We will get through this together. Together. Look, folks, all my colleagues I serve with in the House and the Senate up here, we all understand the world is watching all of us today. So here's my message to those beyond our borders. America has been tested, and we've come out stronger for it. We will repair our alliances and engage with the world once again, not to meet yesterday's challenges, but today's and tomorrow's challenges.